my name is Rashida Ramakrishna, and my presentation is on the effect of environment and its mental health. To start off, I evaluated stimulus materials given to me and found inspiration for my topic. The source, Urban Evolution, How Species Adapt to Survive in Cities, focuses on the genetic adaptations of animal species in urban environments. It claimed that all living things can adapt to what their environment provides them. The source, The Dark Side of Resilience, focuses on rapidly changing environments and the adaptation required to survive. Furthermore, in the source Long Walk to Freedom, there is a heavy focus on Nelson Mandela's efforts to keep his sanity while in harsh prison environments and hopes to find peace. And finally, in the resilience among Haitian survivors of the 2010 earthquake, it talks about the natural disaster of Haitian earthquake. It focuses on the aspect of citizens that took the new circumstances into consideration, the struggles they faced mentally and physically, and how they persevered through. Going through this evaluation, it was brought to my attention that a common theme was that the change in environment, specifically the natural aspect, especially in urban places, were causing different issues and outcomes. That being said, I want to focus my research on mental health. There have been several studies conducted throughout the years that portray a direct correlation between the exposure to environmental changes and the negative mental health outcomes it has caused. Out of these many studies, a review of 30 studies, 30 of them found that the exposure to air pollution was associated with the increased risk of anxiety and depression in urban areas. Although air pollution is one of the many environmental changes that urban areas face, it is not limited to that. Environment can be defined and split into two categories. One is the nature side of it, and the other is the man-made. The nature side of environment is known to be the changes that occur outside the concrete walls in urban areas. Some examples of these include air pollution, hurricanes, the changes in seasons, global warming, and many more. The man-made side of environment more has to do with the changes that occur in homes, schools, or workplaces that can take a toll on mental health. Some examples of these include non-structural parenting, grades, and salaries. I'll be focusing specifically on the nature side through my presentation. Mental health is widely known to be one of the leading area of issues across the globe. According to the World Health Organization, mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn to work and work well, and furthermore contribute to their community. Unfortunately, being one of the leading health issues in the world, 1 in 4 people will be affected by mental illness at some point in their lives. 14.3% of deaths worldwide, or approximately 8 million deaths per year, are attributable to mental disorders. This image from Our World in Data shows the population of mental health disorders across the world. As we can see, there is not a single area that has not been affected by mental health. Furthermore, the more shocking aspect is that there is close to no place that can be found below the 10% range. This data is from 2019, so this issue has only gotten worse with time. Now, many of you have heard of the term seasonal depression. Although this term is used often loosely on social media or in conversation without much seriousness attached, it is one of the many issues that can be caused by environmental changes. Environmental changes can have both direct and indirect effects on mental health. Some of the direct correlation can be explained with the following mechanisms. Biological effects. Exposure to certain environmental changes such as extreme heat, natural disasters, or air pollution can lead to direct biological effects on the body. Psychological effects. Environmental changes can also have direct psychological effects on individuals. An example of this is natural disasters. This can be caused by trauma, which can lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD. PTSD, although it is a mental health concern in itself, it is known to lead to other mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, and just to name a few. Social effects. Environmental changes can also cause social effects such as displacement, loss of social support systems, and even community. Why should this be considered an issue? There are a few reasons for this. Just to start off, the prevalence of this is stagnant across the board. Mental health problems are prevalent in urban areas, with estimates suggesting up to 1/3 of urban residents experience anxiety or depression at some point. Secondly, health issues, including mental health, can have an effect on individuals' quality of life. To state a few examples, anxiety and depression have been linked to increased risk in health issues, such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Next, mental health can also have significant economic costs, both healthcare and time. Finally, environmental changes and their mental health impacts disproportionately affect vulnerable populations. Overall, all these reasons play into account with many more of why this is a real issue that needs to be addressed. This urges the question, what is the relationship between exposure to environmental changes and mental health outcomes in urban residents? Some potential solutions to this issue include implementing policies, increase access to mental health services, community resilience, and finally increase public awareness. The first potential solution would be implement policies to reduce the environmental stressors in urban environments. With the fast-paced lifestyle of urban environments, it is very easy for people to get carried away in the rat race and lose themselves. Secondly, increased access to mental health services can help individuals cope with the mental health impacts of environmental changes. This can include increasing the number of mental health professionals, offering telehealth services, and providing mental health services in schools and workplaces. This increases accessibility to all. Community resilience is also important to build, as it can help people cope with the impacts they have faced in the environment. So the best way to do this would be to promote community preparedness for things like natural disasters and community engagement in environment decision making. Finally, with the last potential solution, increasing public education awareness of the impact that environmental changes have on mental health can help the urban community understand the importance of addressing these issues. There are a few limitations to the solutions above. To start off, each of these solutions on their own don't have the proper impact needed to make a change. They are all leaving one aspect or another out when on their own. Additionally, a lot of these solutions seem to be optional for people. This means that taking the opportunities to address the situation through these solutions may not be priority for the mass majority of the urban population. That being said, I believe that the best way to address these issues is to use a combination of all four solutions. This way, all angles and aspects are addressed. Furthermore, it also addresses people of all age groups, schedules, and priorities. There is something for everyone according to their preference. Something I would like to add that is making certain policies and services mandatory for all. This will have to be done through the power of a policymaker. By making certain things mandatory, it guarantees that everyone in urban communities will address the issue of mental health due to the changes in their environment. These solutions on their own have proven to make their own difference in a positive way accordingly. Unfortunately, they were only targeted to certain communities and not the overall population of urban citizens. Implementing the combination of these solutions will ensure the drastic difference in the right direction. According to OECD from 2017, on average, adults over 50 are 6% more likely to report poor health if they have a chronic disease at 10 years of age, after controlling for adult socio-demographic characteristics such as education, employment status, marital status, age, and wealth quality. This is one of the main consequences of not addressing these issues. Our future generations will be faced with people and consequences that are not as healthy as they could have been. Although it is true that some people are not aware of these issues, the bigger issue is that many people believe that these are not issues to address. Some may believe that they're personally resilient, or they have grown to be accustomed to environmental stressors, or that they believe that they have certain beliefs that are politically and ideologically don't match up with the mental health. However, it is important to consider the evidence which is mounting that proves the link between the environmental changes. The effects of environmental changes on mental health of urban residents is a problem that remains constant and needs to be addressed for the well-being of future generations. The best way to address this is through a combination of implementing policies to reduce environmental stressors, increase access to mental health services, build community resilience, and increase public education and awareness. This is the works cited page. Thank you.
Okay. How did some preliminary information you gathered inform your research?
Just when I started off during my research, I was mostly just focusing on mental health as a aspect like across the globe. But then I realized that a lot of it was very different according to the areas that people were living in, such as urban or rural. And I saw that a lot of people were affected in urban areas specifically. So that changed my direction of my research to specify to urban areas.
What are the implications of your findings to your community?
The implications of the findings to my community would include not having to face being aware of the environmental changes that could happen in the future, and how to overcome it as a community without the mental health that affects them, and overall making sure that in the future, for future generations, the community runs smoothly without the mental health issues.